Owning a company is one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had in my life. And a lot of you probably feel the same way too. One of the things that we deal with as entrepreneurs is how and when to hire. Now, I log into social media and I see all of these people either in one of two camps. The first camp is, oh my God, I have so much going on and I really, really need to hire, but I don't know where to start and I don't trust anyone. And the other side is, listen, my company is growing at breakneck speeds and I need to get a team on board. Those are two vastly different types of entrepreneur. One is sure and ready and looking forward to that next level. And the other one is still hesitant and operating as a solo entrepreneur. I'm not saying either is right or wrong, but what I am saying is that before you start hiring, you need to really start thinking about, am I ready? Is this something that I really need to do? And if you don't, you could be making very grave hiring mistakes. Today, I want to talk about the things that you need to keep in mind before you hire your very first employee. But first, ask yourself two questions. If I don't hire, how much money am I leaving on the table? And how do I know that I'm hiring the right people? Welcome back to another episode of Mogul Chicks Chat. I'm your host, Adrienne Graham. I'm the CEO and proud founder of Mogul Chicks, and that's Chicks with an X. I am a serial entrepreneur and a self-made businesswoman who is a strategic business growth advisor, talent management strategist, published author, mentor, investor, and podcast host. Mogul Chicks helps female founders grow and scale profitable, job-creating companies and eventually get them investment ready. We also help groom them into dynamic leaders and CEOs and build legacy wealth in the process. Mogul Chicks is a mindset, a way of life, if you will, and a blueprint for female founders who want to build a legacy of wealth and a generational business empire. We provide strategic business growth solutions and a platform for resources, mentoring, networks, education, and media that shares our stories. Our mission is to take your company from flat to profit generating to job creating to investment ready. My personal mission is to help you build and run a better company, reimagine the way you do business, and build lasting wealth. Oh, and before I forget, make sure you tag Mogul Chicks using the hashtag Mogul Chicks Chat on social media. Make sure you rate the show and leave a comment. It helps people find us. Share the love, share the love. So, you think you're ready to hire? Well, there are many signs that indicate that someone is ready to hire, but not all of them are the right reasons for you to hire. So let's look at like workload. You know, a lot of people are very inundated or overloaded with work and clients, and they're like, oh my God, I need so much help. I need an assistant. First of all, that's the wrong thing to hire. I don't care what anyone says. As someone who's been in this game for way over 20 years, an assistant is not the first person you hire. Okay. First person you hire is your money-making person. Whoever that may be, whether it's someone who does what you do or someone who does business development, that's what you need to hire first. But that's not what this podcast episode is about. I want to arm you with the right information and the right mindset before you start hiring. And I know it's a very heated subject. A lot of people, well, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but a lot of people hire wrong. For example, you have people who hire online business managers and call them COOs, and they're really not. But that's a podcast for a different day. My advice to clients usually is figure out who you need to hire and why. Then you worry about how to afford them later. That is why I always say, get your money-making team first, because those are the people who's going to end up paying for themselves. So workload can be the first thing that makes a person want to hire, but you have to be real strategic about it. You can't just hire someone because you're busy. That's not how that works. You have to make sure that the person you hire makes sense. The second thing is skill set. Maybe you want to take your company to another level or to a different direction, but you don't have the skill set to do that. That's when hiring someone or people who have those skill sets come in to offset what you do and take your company to different levels. Revenue. Now, your revenue might have gone up a little bit, but it doesn't mean that you're ready to hire just because you have more revenue. It has to make sense. You need to sit down with your accountant to make sure that you have the budget to hire. And when I do my staffing plans with my clients, I always include a session with their accountant because we're talking short-term and long-term planning for staffing. And the accountant would be the person that can tell you what your numbers look like and where you need to be so that you can justify making those hires. So before people are ready to start hiring, I always ask them to take this kind of a little quiz. And I'm going to ask these questions now and let you decide if you're ready to hire. The first thing is something I always talk about. Do you have a staffing plan to serve as your roadmap to hiring? Most of you, let me save you time. Most of you are going to say no because a lot of people don't think about a staffing plan. You think about a business plan, a marketing plan, all that social media plan, but you rarely think about a staffing plan. That is your blueprint that's going to show you who, when, why, and how to hire in the short term and the long term. Second question, do you have a system in place that can help you manage the process? That means receive candidates, manage the interview process, get them scheduled, keep their information on file, to pipeline, all of that stuff. You need to have an automated system, or what I call an applicant tracking system. That's what we call it in the business. And it helps you keep track of everything, all of your data, and it keeps you compliant. The third question, are you posting the position where you can get the most traction? Wait for it, from qualified candidate pools. Let me say something. Indeed has its place. Monster has its place. LinkedIn Jobs has its place. But everything doesn't work for everybody or every situation. If you're looking for a CFO, going to Indeed is not going to be the first choice. And going to places like ZipRecruiter, and these places are probably going to come at me. You know, it is what it is. I'm a recruiter and I know how the tools work and I know what does and doesn't work. But you need to be places where you can find CFOs. So in other words, make sure you find specialized sites. One of the things that we do is we offer services where we have a pool of job sites, regular, traditional, general, as well as specialty sites that we pay subscriptions for, that we can post the jobs for our clients. So we offer that as a service, but you need to make sure that, number one, you're looking at the cost. Number two, you're finding out which ones have access to the candidates that you actually need. It doesn't make sense to post somewhere where if you're looking for a CFO, they're not looking for jobs there. Number 4, do you have the right questions to ask during interviews that allow you to properly vet these candidates? A lot of you, I'm going to venture and say no. There are different types of interview questions that you can ask during interviews. Now, there are a bunch of questions that you're not allowed to ask for legal reasons, but you should always be checking for their behavioral, situational, functional, technical, and then just common sense. A lot of people don't screen for common sense, but you should have interview guides. And those are things that we create for our customers, our clients as well, so that they have them on hand and they know what to ask their candidates and how to pull the best answers from them. The 5th thing is, do you have a second set of eyes and ears to catch what you may miss or forget to ask during the interviews? It is so crucial. There are times when I work with with clients who are screening candidates and they're the only ones doing the interviews. They don't have a backup. In those cases, they always ask me or my team to come in and serve as that second set of eyes and ears to catch all of that. Never make a hire with just one interview, and never be the person to interview the candidate twice. Okay. The 6th thing, Do you have a clear job description with an accurate depiction of the work and the requirements? You can find job descriptions all across the web. We do job descriptions. We write them. We do job ads as well. There's no excuse for not having a clear job description. And let me just say this, a job ad and a job description are not interchangeable. They're not the same thing. So you need to make sure you have a clear job description that you can articulate to the candidates so that they understand what's required of them in the job. Number 7, are you conducting more than one round of interviews with each candidate? Now, everybody doesn't need multiple rounds. I can tell, because I've been doing it so long, in the first 5 minutes of a conversation if a candidate needs to go to the next round. More times than not, it's a quick conversation. I block off 30 minutes on my calendar, and I tell my team the same thing. Usually those kind of conversations end within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the conversation. Those are the ones that I know are not a fit and they're not going to go any further. The other people that do seem to be a fit, they're afforded that full 30 minutes and then they're moved on to the next level. Never hire a person after only one round of interviews. Number 8, are you conducting proper background checks on these candidates? Again, we do background checks, but a lot of you are not doing background checks and are blindsided when you have someone that isn't what they say they are. You know, I've seen stories of people who come in and had all kind of financial malfeasance and ends up just basically ripping off the client, the employer. So you guys need to make sure that you're conducting a background check on every single candidate, especially if they're going to be having fiduciary responsibility, or if they're going to have access to sensitive data, or if they are going to have trade secrets. So you need to make sure that you're doing these background checks on them. Number 9, are you pipelining candidates that you don't hire? Now, there have been times when I've had candidates that were really, really good, but they maybe didn't make it past the second or third round. I've had candidates that were down to the final 2, 1 of 2, and they went with the other candidate. That doesn't mean you throw away these candidates. You have to be pipelining because you never know. Anything could happen. The person can quit. You might need a second person to come in. You never know. Make sure you're pipelining them. And that's where having an applicant tracking system comes into play. And let me say this. I love you guys, but I don't want to hear any more about email, resumes, and Excel spreadsheets and Google Drive. First of all, that stuff is not secure, number 1. Number 2, it's old and dated. Invest in an applicant tracking system. I can help you with that as well. And then finally is, do you have an HR system in place to manage the onboarding, the payroll, the data management of your employees? Because after you hire them, that's not where it ends. The work is really just beginning, because you need to be able to keep their sensitive data on file. And again, the cloud is not where it is. You need to have an HR system that keeps everything in place, preferably one that allows self-service for the candidates, for the employees, I love to be able to let my new hires go in and set up their information, put in their whatever documents they need, sign up for whatever they need to sign up for, and self-service, Now, there are some things that they do have to ask the team, which is fine. But for the most part, find a good service that will let you set up self-service for your employees. So those are pretty much the questions that you need to be asking before you try to hire anyone. Those things will keep it all in perspective for you. And, either you're ready or you're not. But you need to make the decisions to hire from a place of intelligence, not emotional places. You need to be able to justify the hires. And that doesn't mean that you stop the hiring because it's like, oh, it's not ready, I'm not ready. No, you're growing companies. Inevitably, you're going to have to hire. Don't you want to do it the right way? So let's talk about it. Leave a comment below and let me know your experience with hiring. I'm Adrienne Graham, CEO and founder of Mogul Chicks, and this has been another Mogul Chicks Chat. I want to help you build a better, more profitable company. Make sure you check out the other episodes, and if you like what you hear, share the love. Pass the link on to your friends. You can find this podcast wherever podcasts are streamed, and of course on the Mogul Chicks website. Make sure you subscribe, and if you do, leave a comment on any or all of the channels. It helps other people find the podcast too. Sharing is caring. For more information about how we work with you to grow and scale your company, visit us online at mogulchicks.com, send an email to contact@mogulchicks.com, or you can connect with us all over social media at Mogul Chicks. And remember, that's Mogul Chicks with an X. If you're not yet part of the Mogul Circle, if you're doing over $1 million in revenue annually, what are you waiting for? There's so much value in memberships and the community. If you prefer a good program or trying to move beyond startup phase, check out the Mogul Chicks Academy at mogulchicksacademy.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And remember, Mogul Chicks are always a step ahead of the crowd, and they're always closing deals. Mogul Chicks make mogul moves and power plays. Your move. Now go be profitable. Bye.